Okay, everybody, sorry about the delay. I had an issue with my live stream. I thought I was more up on the software, but I guess I'm not. So I apologize for um, basically messing this up. I am going to mm, send out a few links to my friends here real quick. Let me get into my live feed. Let me go into YouTube here. My apologies. Like I said, I'm new to this and I'm learning the software as we go. So, and here we are. All right. So I apologize again about the live stream being delayed like it is. A couple people have been PMing me. I have another live stream set up that I don't know how to access. I think I'm going to go bug Eric Tenkar and ask Eric if he can kind of tell me how to do this a little bit better than what I'm doing because I'm woefully not doing this very well. So right now I am waiting to see if anybody wants to join the chat. Um, Let me take a look here. I'm gonna try to share it with a few other. And let's go down here and do this. All right. Yo. Well, hello, Tabletop Tap Room and Thaitis. Just to let everybody know, thank you, Thaitis, for letting me know. But hey, Tom, just to let you know, um, on my other stream, Mr. Wonderful showed up already, and he made some pretty nasty comments regarding me being a con man. Then also said I should talk about my dead daughter. So he's just doing his classic stuff. He invaded my other live. So much appreciated, Thaddeus, for your heads up on. He's the one who actually went. Yeah, he did. Um, so you know what? To heck with him. He is reaping the rewards of much hard work and wasted money. So I want to get into my live today and talk about important stuff, and that is I want to talk about book publishing, game publishing, and talk a little bit about the things that people don't realize that they need when they go to publish a game. Um, and Absolutely. Thank you, Billy Joe. I appreciate it for subbing. Everybody who subs helps me out a little bit. I know it's not a big deal to a lot of people, but I hit 10,000 views on my YouTube channel the other day, and I'm approaching a couple hundred people um, following me. So I, again, much appreciated everybody who follows me. I apologize for the drama the last few days on my YouTube channel, but I just wanted to out him for what he was, for what he did to me. So lots of cool stuff happening. So yeah, amen to that, Tom. Um, all right, publishing. Now, a lot of people don't understand that book publishing and game publishing are really similar. I had a book publishing company for several years back in about 2008 to 2013. Um, I started off literally with one author, and within a few short years, I had over 450 authors in my stable of, they call it your stable of authors. We were actually one of the largest self-publishing companies in the Midwest. We won the DART Container Difference Maker Award in the state of Michigan. We did a lot of cool things with it, and I just want to talk about it because I have a passion for publishing. We're going to be offering publishing services through Wizard Tower Games here after the first of the year. So if anybody has any questions, please chime in. I'll be happy to answer your guys' questions. But um, first, I want to talk about a little bit about what are the similarities between book publishing and game publishing. Um, they're remarkably similar in that you need a lot of the same stuff in order to in order to do those. Like as an example, I don't know, we all have heard of a thing called the ISBN number, that little barcode on the back of a book. Things like hardcover game manuals, modules, and stuff like that need an ISBN number. It's the International Standard Book Number. It's a 13-digit number. And for game products such as board games, you need another type of barcode, and that's called the UPC code, Universal Product Code. They're very different, but they're very important. A lot of people who sell their games on a retail level, like through DriveThru RPG or something, they normally don't get one. But for those of you out there who want to sell your games like in stores and places like that, you would most likely be required to get a UPC code or an ISBN code. Now, the interesting thing about the ISBN and the UPC code is what a lot of people don't realize is if you Google them, like how to get a UPC code or how to get an ISBN number, there's a lot of bad information out there on Google. And there's a lot of scams out there. Pretty much any place that's not going to represent your book. Now, I'm not talking about a book publisher or a game publisher. I'm talking about these places that say, for $49.99, we can give you an ISBN number. Don't do it. And the reason why you don't want to do it is this. There is only, I'm going to pick on the ISBN number as an example. There is only one place in the United States that's authorized to issue ISBN numbers, and that is a place called Boker. It's also called My Identifiers. They are the agency that are allowed to issue the ISBN numbers. When you get issued an ISBN number, and then you go ahead and you get that barcode, anyone can generate the barcode with barcode software. We can do that. So as an example, if anyone has an ISBN number and you want to go ahead and have us generate a barcode for you, I'll do it for free. Just go ahead and email me at info@wizardtowergames.com. Drop me your 13-digit code and what the retail price of it is, and I'll send you a cool little barcode that you can just smack on the back of your book free of charge. We're happy to help out game designers and authors like that. But the reason why the ISBN is so important is because when you have an ISBN number, that number is what places like Barnes & Noble looks you up by. When you go to Amazon, you go to load your book on Amazon.com to sell, one of the first things they're going to ask for is your ISBN number. And they're going to cross-reference that number. And when you have an ISBN number, like through Boker as an example, what you can go ahead and do is you go into your Boker control panel for your ISBN, and you fill out a lot of information. Title of the game or book, they want to know how much it weighs, page count, dimensions, thickness. Do you sell it wholesale? If so, do you sell it by each or case quantity? How many's in a case, as an example, that type of stuff. And it's extremely important to fill out all the data. There's about 5 or 6 pages of data. It's a lot of data you got to fill out, but that's what places look for. And one of the most common reasons why authors are told no thank you by bookstores is because they'll pull an ISBN as an example, but they don't fill the data out. So they take their book to Joe Blow Publishing, and what they'll end up doing is they'll end up sorry about that, I was asked a question. They'll see no data, and it's instant turn off to the bookseller. The bookseller will just back right off you. Now, I mentioned earlier about the ISBN number and how the ISBN number having anybody, as an example, in the background selling you ISBNs. The problem with that is the person who generates the ISBN will be listed as your publisher. That's just a fact. So if I generate an ISBN for Tabletop Taproom as an example, Wizard Tower Games is going to be listed as the book publisher. Even if I put all of Tom's information in there, the ISBN will be listed under Wizard Tower Games. And that's how these ISBN companies get you, because what happens then is down the line you run into problems. And what they'll do is you contact them and you say, hey, you're listed as my publisher, and they say, oh, we can go ahead and transfer it over to you, which you can do, but they charge you a fee. And the fees start off usually about $199. They get you. So I'm going to go ahead after this. I'm going to post down into in fact, I'll go ahead real quick and I will post a link to my identifiers for everybody. And these are the people right here where you go to get a ISBN number. They're the only ones that can legitimately do it. Go to them. Now, the UPC code's another universal product code, is another barcode in the back that identifies your product. There's only one place that does that, and it's a place called GS1 US. And I'll also put that link here in a moment down below. And it's kind of like the same deal. They do cost money. They can be a little pricey, but if you're going to go through all that trouble designing games, then go ahead and spend the money on this. Now, one second. Let me let him know. Again, I apologize. We had another live set up, and for some reason, I can't activate it. I got to go with Eric Tenkar. I'll have him be I'll be his Padawan, and I'll let him kind of tell me behind the scenes. How you doing, RPG Grandma? Hope everything's doing well with you. Again, I want to apologize to everybody. In my other live that I was setting up, we did have a visitor, and the visitor did some pretty nasty stuff, said some pretty nasty things. Of course, mentioned my daughter who passed away. The classic tropes of he who shall not be named, aka Voldemort 3.0. Now, does anybody have any questions about publishing, whether it be publishing a book or whether it's publishing a game? Does anyone have any questions regarding game design or game publishing or whatnot? I'd be happy to answer your questions. Wizard Tower Games is going to, like I said, be publishing. Does Giant Lands and Dungeon Crawl have a valid USBN code? Regarding Dungeon Crawl, I don't know about Giant Lands, but I know that Dungeon Crawl had a valid UPC code because I am the one who created the account for Voldemort 3.0, and I'm the one who went ahead and pulled that. So I did not fill out the backend information because I could not fill out the backend information. So I'll say it like this. A valid UPC code I put on the box design on the back. I've never really validated that. That's actually a really good question, Tom. And also, I don't know, but I also say I highly doubt that Voldemort went in and did all the back end data, because I'll talk about a UPC code for a minute. UPC codes are a barcode on the back, and they're called the Universal Product Code. And what they do is they identify your game or your product. Now, UPC codes are on the back of everything from canned vegetables to games to clothing. That's that barcode. And the barcode is a really important thing. And this is the reason why a lot of people make mistakes with their games. They don't pull one because they don't want to invest the money. It's like $50. And they're like, well, I don't want to spend $50 for just a little barcode. What do I need that for? You need it. And this is the reason why. Because most legitimate brick and mortar retailers, Barnes and Noble, Amazon's not brick and mortar, but Amazon's one of them. Large or mainstream distributors like Alliance Games and places like that, they use that barcode because that comes back to your game, and they scan it, and that's basically your identifier. That's why they call it My Identifiers, because that barcode comes back to that product. So, like as an example, when you look at when you take a look at the back of the Lost Adventures of Gary Con, there'll be an ISBN number back on there. You will be able to go enter that ISBN number into ISBN trackers, and it'll give all the data. And it's the same thing with the UPC code. You'll be able to enter that data, and it'll pull right up into the Boker, not the Boker, the GS1 database, and it'll pull up. It'll say, and I'm gonna pick on Lost Adventures of Gary Kahn. It'll say Lost Adventures of Gary Kahn, written by Tim Kask, you know, laid out and edited, or not edited, but put together by Don Samora, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Let me hold on here. Thetis asks, when publishing to a company like DriveThru or Lulu, is the USBN necessary? Also, is there a difference in what would be required for internationally sold product? Good question. It's actually called an ISBN and UPC code. It's a little confusing. They're basically both the barcode, but like as an example, traditionally most products sold through DriveThru RPG will be an ISBN number because they're booklet formed. Is it necessary to sell on DriveThru? No, you don't need a ISBN number, Thetis, but my sincere suggestion would be to get one, and this is the reason why. Because let's say you have that you have a book on DriveThru RPG, a game, a module, and you're selling it along, and all of a sudden it just goes platinum. I mean, you are just selling a ton of them. The problem is when you want to take that product now, and let's say you want to have Alliance Games, a big game distributor, pick it up and you want to send it to them and you want them to carry it, or if, as an example, you want to sell it on Barnes & Noble, you go to your local Barnes & Noble and they walk you through the self-publishing program, which I'm going to go ahead and talk about in another video on how you can get your books in Barnes & Noble in the store. They're going to require an ISBN number. All of our products have an ISBN or UPC. It's just a matter of course with me. And for those of you who publish a lot, you can buy, like when you go to Boker or myidentifiers.com, you'll see an ISBN's like $50 and you're like, wow, holy shit, I've got like 15, 20 games. For those of you who want to put an investment into your gaming, if you're going to put a lot of game product out, you can buy 25, 50, 100 ISBNs at a time, and the price drops down to like hardly anything. I buy my ISBNs at 100 at a time, and I pay like $500, but I get 100 ISBNs. So, and those ISBNs are all good, and I enter them into Boker as I'm publishing them with them. Barcode. Yeah, exactly, Cal. Tabletop Tap Room. No, he's been hit because I will defer commentary on that for other things that are happening right now. That's right, somewhere, yeah. You know, so another thing that you have to also be careful of when you're looking at publishing a game is I think a lot of people, when they publish their game, they're very, very, they tend to think very nearsightedly. We all want to get the game out there as cheap as possible. DriveThru RPG offers a really good service, and they do. I mean, you upload your PDF, they take care of it. You don't got to worry about distribution. You don't got to worry about publishing or anything like that. But the question I have for everybody here watching this who publishes through DriveThru RPG is, what if? What if your game really takes off, and let's say someone like a big game distributor approaches you and says, Thetis, I love your module X. We want to distribute your module. The problem is and again, I don't publish through DriveThru RPG. I've thought about it, but I just don't, because we have our own distribution routes and we are in Barnes & Noble and on Amazon now. But for me, the problem I have also at places like DriveThru RPG is, they have two different commission levels. If you publish exclusively through them, but also if you publish at other places, it's a different percentage. And this is really important for those of you who are thinking about publishing through Amazon KDP. There is a clause in the Amazon KDP contract. Now, that is that if you go on Amazon and you publish your book or you publish your product through Amazon, One of the issues with Amazon is, and this is something that people don't know about, and if you're busted doing it, you can get in a lot of trouble. And that is, Amazon has a rule: if you publish on Amazon through their KDP program, their self-publishing program, okay, then what will end up happening is you cannot publish that product anywhere else. So, you know, as an example, Tabletop Taproom, I'll answer that in 1 second. But let's say Tabletop Taproom publishes his fanzine on Amazon, and it's on Amazon. People are buying it. He's happy, and he wants to go ahead and he wants to publish it also at Barnes & Noble, sell on Barnes & Noble and DriveThruRPG. If Amazon gets wind of it, not only will they cancel your publishing with Amazon, they'll bar you for life. They don't play around. It's a little known part of the contract. I have known a lot of authors who got burned with it, and you got to be very, very careful. So as an example, if I had a module, as an example, called, I don't know, Pesky Orcs, and I'm on Amazon with it, and let's say I'm selling it on my business website, if Amazon finds out, they'll cancel my Pesky Orcs game and bar me from ever publishing again, period, under a different name or otherwise. Interesting information, huh, guys? So Tabletop Taproom wants to know, so I have a fanzine and I can't do anything more than pay what you want. Is there still a point of a UPC or ISBN? It's called ISBN, guys. In my honest opinion, if you're just going to do a pay what you want and you're going to stay in that lane, you know that you're not going to branch out. You're comfortable doing something. Maybe you're doing something through darn it, not Pinterest. I'm drawing a blank, but let's say that you're just in your lane. You're going to do a pay what you want. Then I would not get an ISBN. No. What I would do instead is anyone who is selling a game online in booklet form. And see, this is the important distinction between the two, and that is, if it's in a book or booklet form, hardcover book, game module, adventure setting, art book, anything in booklet form, you need an ISBN. Anything in tangible product form, such as a board game or let's say a deck of cards, like our deck of descriptions that we have, that Tom and 10 Cars from 10 Cars Tavern have a copy of. Those have ISBN number or UPC codes on the back. Sorry. So booklet form gets an ISBN, International Standard Book Number, because it's a book. So that's the big thing with that. Big Vic says it's too bad fanzines cannot charge a nominal fee like $2 without repercussions. I guess I asked this. You know what? Why can't you? If people gripe, then let them gripe. And this is what I used to tell authors all the time when they'd be sitting in my office when I had my publishing company, and that is, a lot of hard work goes into the publication of Product X, a book. There's nothing wrong with being compensated for that. I know people like something for free, and I know, and I've talked to Tom, at Tabletop Taproom a lot about this. Tom is a real gracious, giving individual, and he really has a passion for the Star Frontiers universe and the game itself. And I get that you want to get that word out, but you'd be surprised if you just put a couple bucks on it. You may get the griper, but I'll bet you'd probably get more people purchasing, picking it up, because the problem with pay as you wish and the problem with just pay what you want, like I see a lot of times, is with me as an individual. Like, I go online. In fact, I just ran this yesterday. I was on DriveThruRPG, and there was a some artwork, and it was pay as you wish, and I could have put $1 or $2 in there. I would have felt bad because I do artwork, I do pencil drawing, and I do Photoshop work. I do game writing. I mean, I know how much work it takes to go into there and and create something. And I just believe that what you should do is you should not be afraid of charging a price. Never be afraid to say, I want $2 a copy, I want $3 a copy. You don't have to get extravagant with it, but you will then know who really has your support, because true supporters of your work and of your project, and true supporters and people who also have a passion for what you're doing, they will not have a problem with throwing a couple bucks at you for something. Um, okay, what you're getting into now, Tabletop Tap Room, is the IP issue. Okay. Um, I have to look into this because I know that there are clauses within IP federal law that allows you to charge on a limited basis. Like for example, people can go in and they can and Vic just made a good point. I'm gonna show it here in a minute. You know, like you get people that will write unauthorized biographies. I'm writing one right now. um, but also you'll have people that will like they'll do like fan art as an example. And I know that you can market it and sell it, but this comment right here, Vic is, I think, really nailed it on the head. And that is, you know, a lot of these larger IP holders, as long as you don't, you know, flip the middle finger up at them, as long as you don't file federal lawsuits against them, um, and as long as you just stay in your lane, and um, the old TSR, the secondary TSR ran by Solarian Games is a prime example of staying in their lane. What they did is, and I'm going just off of what I heard. I may be a little bit wrong here, but I think that what they did is they bought the TSR logo IP, not IP, the trademark, and they wanted to put out Top Secret. And I imagine they had I heard they had communications with WotC, but they weren't making $1 million off of it, and they weren't doing anything negative to it. And I think the whole point of a fanzine, it's sort of like, I'll give you an example. There is a huge market, and I actually do it on the side, is model making. Okay. You could see my models I build up here. I post them on my Facebook. Friends of my Facebook will see me post them occasionally. If you go to my personal TikTok, you'll see me posting a lot about that type of stuff. And there is well-known IP hounds, and that is the Star Wars universe. Disney owns Star Wars, and they are notorious for having no tolerance for people screwing around with their IP. I mean, they make Wizards of the Coast look like just go ahead, use whatever you want. I mean, Disney's really, really nasty. But back when George Lucas had it, people made garage kits. They made X-Wings and TIE Fighters and all kinds of cool stuff themselves, and they would sell them online. And people would go, how are you doing this? And George Lucas was in an interview, and he was asked about that once. And he said, we are perfectly aware of this underground garage market selling models of our ships. And he said it. He goes, I love it. He goes, they help keep alive the interest in our IP, because they know that the average guy cranking out models in his garage isn't making a ton of money. He's just cranking out the occasional stuff. And I think, and I'm not trying to put words in WotC's mouth, and I'm sure, given the last 2 years of history with certain companies who did some naughty things, what would end up happening is is at the worst you would get a C&D from them if you were stepping on too much. But I think having a fanzine and charging a couple bucks just for the cost of, trying to get a little bit of cash together because you want to continue it, I don't know really what they would do. I don't think they would. They renamed it Top Secret in order not using Top Secret, thus it was different. Bingo. And then Solarian had a deal with WotC. Okay, I did not know that. Thanks for clearing up, Vic. But yeah, but the thing is, Tom, look at it this way also, if you actually think about it, is it doesn't really matter if you're giving it away for free if you're charging $2 for it. Because if they had a problem with it, they would send you a C&D no matter what. I mean, they really would. And that's kind of like the crux of it. If they got it now, if you were selling it for $39.99 and they went to, just like, let's say they went up to your website and saw that you were selling, $500 a month, yeah, they might be a little concerned. But a fan mag saying, hey, listen, throw a couple bucks our way so we can go ahead and keep this moving, I don't think they'd have a problem with that. Again, I'm not speaking for them. I'm just offering my personal opinion. And then also, if they had a problem with it at $2, I think they'd have a problem with it for free. Big Vic, I got a C&D for creating Star Trek stuff. Yeah, Star Trek is another one that is the Roddenberry family. They are notorious in the model making realm and also just in general realm, period. They have zero tolerance. I mean, they will send you a C&D. And like, I'm going to tell you right now, if you receive a C&D from Disney or from the Roddenberry estate and they say stop or we'll sue you, they're not bluffing. They will sue you. They will. And it doesn't matter if you're selling a coffee cup for $14.99 and you're selling only 10 a month. If they send you a C&D and they say stop it, they will go ahead and they will go after you. They're that way. Now, we operate under the current fan license now, which says no profit. Now, see, I'm not familiar with that license. I'll get with you, Tom, later on. I want to see a copy of that license because I'm interested in that because I know that they've changed their OGL around in bits and pieces around several times. I know Eric and you both have done some stuff on it, but I'm interested in that. Vic says different companies have different thresholds of tolerance. Yeah, I'll give you an example. I received a C&D over a website name, and it wasn't from a big company. It was just from what I did is I created a social media website, and what I called it was I called it D20 Social, and we had a few hundred members. It wasn't anything big. It wasn't anything major. And it wasn't WotC that did it. There was another social media website who sent me a C&D because it was a very similar sounding name. I did not know about them, and they were legitimately before us. So I talked to my attorney. My attorney basically scoffed at it and said they're not going to do anything. But I thought about it, so I just like, it's not worth the trouble. Profit is subjective. It is, and we put together a cabal of 5 people, sought permission to do 40th anniversary Star Frontiers rulebook redone by fans. Revamped WotC said no, but Linus is also raising another guy. This is the problem that can stem from these major incidents involving IP is, you always have that one person who abuses it, and the problem is that sadly that takes away from people who have really legitimate, real desire to do something positive. I'll say that Wizards of the Coast is approachable, and they will listen to you about IP, and they will listen to you about making product under their licensing. They're very approachable. I have approached them about a product, and I'll be making an announcement about that hopefully here pretty soon. RPG Grandma says, yeah, we had to stop the magazine for a while, so we don't want WotC angry. Yeah, and think about that. I mean, as a publisher, game publishers and game designers, it's really sad when you really have your heart in the right space and you really want to do something positive and put out a good product, but the abuse that's happening out there, and the whole new TSR thing is, I think it'll be a really good case study of what can happen when you do it all the wrong ways. Um, you know, I personally would think, I'll tell you what I would love to do as a publisher, and maybe we can talk a little bit about this now. Since we're talking about Wizards of the Coast and D&D stuff, if I had my druthers, I would love to be able to take the first edition AD&D hardcover orange spine books, the core, PHB, Dungeon Master's Guide, Monster Manual 1 and 2, and I would love to be able to redo them, edit them, clean them up, modify the rules, and clean those rules up and reissue them like a 50th anniversary edition. Can you imagine that? I mean, could you imagine how well those would sell? But never will happen now. Well, maybe WotC has something planned for the 50th. I don't know. WotC ignored, Tabletop Down says, WotC ignored Star Frontiers for a long time until Evil Hat trademark Squat, and that changed a lot of the fan community. Now, Evil Hat was, again, this might be a little bit before my time in the community, but Evil Hat, was Star Frontiers the only thing that guy went to grab, Tom? Not to mention the most recent trademark Squat, yeah. Big Vic, I learned early on that if you use a name like Star Frontiers, you make bloody well sure you acknowledge the owners of the IP. And that's another very important thing to remember about when you go ahead and you create a product. Like, I'm going to give you an example. The Lost Adventures of Gary Con is a really good example, and that is we have kind of a unique IP issue with that. We have the original IP that is Tim Kask's creation. But then we have the IP that is still owned by Wizards of the Coast, i.e. the name Dungeons and Dragons or certain monsters and creatures. But then we also have the IP that is owned by Luke Gygax and the Gygax family, and that is the IP for GaryCon, the Lost Adventures of GaryCon. And well, what we did is we basically approached it where we knew how to handle the Wizards of the Coast IP. There's a license in there. Wizard Tower Games, we have our own OGL license that we operate because there's things that we have that fall under our creative IP. But also, what we did is we just approached Luke Gygax and said, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what we'd like to do. And Luke gave us permission. And Luke basically said, if you're going to go ahead and you're going to use the IP of Good Omen Productions, which is the LLC that handles GaryCon and such, then I'm going to require you to do certain things. And we followed his request to the T. Again, if you want to use it, you have to pay for it. And sometimes paying for it is not so much handing over cash or product. Sometimes paying for it is just following their basic rules that they set. And Luke, for a public note here, was very gracious, very generous with us. And Luke was really easy and nice to deal with. And I really appreciate that, what he did. Previously, Tom S. got permission to do a 25th and 30th anniversary patch, sell it, and they gave permission, but now the answer was no on the 40th patch. And again, Tom, we're dealing with, that's not even really the tail end now. It's still ongoing of, I'm sorry, WotC's probably a little pissed off. I said this in EndWorld earlier when people were kind of getting on WotC's ass for this mess. I was like, keep in mind one thing, WotC's not the one who started it. They were going about their happy day. Now, I know a lot of people don't agree with the way WotC is doing and some of the past. There's things that WotC does that I don't agree with. But at the end of the day, they didn't start this debacle over the federal lawsuits and everything. That was strictly on Voldemort. Oh, and don't forget, yeah, Unearthed Arcana. I mean, yeah, can you imagine redoing those books? Um, Tom says Evil Hat was 2018. He grabbed the Star Frontiers trademark. WotC went after them, and they smartly dropped the trademark squat, unlike other people. Yeah, see, this is this is what I used to tell authors. I had actually some fairly well-known people when I had my publishing company. One of the individuals that we represented, he had a very popular radio show on a local radio station, and he did a story about his this whole process he went through. The problem at the time, but what he did is he mentioned some other radio stations in his book and had no disclaimer in there. And what ended up happening was, after the book was out, we got a C&D from these companies going, hey, you're mentioning our companies, and those are trademarks owned by us, because he used like their little saying and everything. And what ended up happening was we ended up having to stop publication on the book, sit down with them and say, hey, listen, and he was not agreeable to it. He was like, it's my history. I can say whatever I want. And it's like, well, not really. You can't. You got to kind of follow the rules of the road. Now, RPG Grandma says James Ward somehow got Metamorphosis Alpha back from WotC. Yes, and that tells you that it's possible. This is what I think. I think a lot of it is how you approach them. I think that if you just go to them and say, can I, the answer is going to be no. But if you approach them and say, this is what I would like, and this is what I'd like to do with it, and this is how I'd like to approach it, and this is my marketing plan, and let me tell you what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to do A, B, and C, and I'm willing to allow you to put rules upon me if you allow me to do this. I think when you approach it that way, you have a better chance of getting a yes from a company. And I'm not just talking about Wizards of the Coast. I'm talking about and also, let's face it, Jim Ward. People like Jim Ward and Larry Elmore and Jeff Easley and Tim Kask and people like that who were part of the original TSR hobbies back in the day. I imagine there's a little bit of pull with that. I mean, I'm sure, and I'm just speaking out my ass here. I'm not saying that, I have any inside knowledge, but I would think that, Wizards of the Coast, whoever handles all of this, would go, are we really going to do anything with Metamorphosis Alpha? I mean, he did have a hand in it. This was his baby. You know what? Okay. I think sometimes there's a little bit of respect shown, and I believe things like Wizards of the Coast, they do have, I believe, long-term plans. I mean, I think Wizards of the Coast knew what they were going to do for D&D's 50th 3-4 years ago. I think they have long-term plans, and I think they have the product lines that they want to go ahead and keep, and I think they kind of have the product lines that they don't care much about. So, Tabletop Tapper, will someone pissed in my weed as a deck like WotC? Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, come on. I mean, in it without, and I don't want to give too much, airtime to Voldemort, but, putting out the Star Frontiers New Genesis game with the content that it is, I mean, if that was my IP and someone pulled that shit, I think I'd have a little bit of a bitter taste in my mouth too. So I can't blame WotC. I don't think Ward ever sold, and that's another thing. That's very well possible. It's sort of like, Tim Kask owns that one creature on the Boule. I mean, he owns that, even though they still utilize it. He actually owns it, and that was back in the day. I mean, I've heard from many sources that, back when TSR original, the good TSR, was up and running and doing that, they basically, you didn't sign over your rights a lot of times to TSR. It was just kind of like a handshake and a, hey, can we use that type thing? Tabletop Tap, interesting. Stephen King mentions WBLM Maine's premier rock station in his books twice in the book Christine. There is a station identification on the radio right before the car kills someone. Yes, but also keep in mind one thing, I think, Tom, is it all depends again on who you're dealing with. The individual that we were representing through my publishing company, he was not mentioning these companies in too favorable of a light because he left under bad terms. And I think, again, it's all on presentation and how you go ahead and you show it. I am a firm believer in this. I believe and I'm going to get totally away from the rest of this show about the new TSR thing, but I firmly believe, and I suggested this when I was working with them, that what they should have done is they should have got these trademarks. They should have approached Wizards and said, hey, listen, we would really like to make a deal with you to put out some older product that you no longer utilize. Could we do that? And if WotC said no, shake their hand, say, well, thank you very much for considering it, and then put out a series of game products that were both 1E, OSR, AD&D, whatever you want to call it, compatible, and 5E compatible content. And if they would have done that and utilized and, follow the rules under the OGL, and if they would have just done that and none of the other nonsense, I think life would be much different in the general gaming community right now for the better. But again, that's all I'm going to say about them. WBLM, the Blimp Classic Rock. Sort of like around here in Michigan, Detroit, was like WKFR, Michigan's rock station. I mean, it was iconic for classic. Like, even now you listen to it, they got a lot of like Blue Oyster Cult and Bob Seger and Ted Nugent and Kiss, and Jefferson Airplane and Aerosmith, the older Aerosmith stuff. So, but, the thing with publishing, though, is, in game publishing, is I really think that you have to, when you create your product, you kind of have to look at, what lane do you want to be in? Are you looking at just, listen, it's a side gig. I want to go ahead and I just want to sell on DriveThruRPG. I got no aspirations for anything more. If I can make $100 a month, I'm happy. If I can make more than that, that's all the better. And you just want to continue to pump out product like that and put it on DriveThruRPG, then DriveThruRPG is an awesome publishing avenue. If you are looking for more broader reach, like you want to see your games in places like Barnes & Noble and other bookstores, then you do need to look at things like a UPC or an ISBN code. Because there's advantages to that also, is because, keep in mind, when you have an ISBN registered with Boker, as an example, the My Identifiers website that I linked above, what's really good about that is if I go into a bookstore and let's say, and I'm going to pick on Big Vic, Cutthroats and Thieves. Cutthroats and Thieves will have a UPC code. And I go into a bookstore and I say, hey, I want to order a product. And they type in Cutthroats and Thieves. If it's in the ISBN or the UPC database, that product will come up, even if it's not in their library, even if it's not in the stuff that they carry. And it's very well possible they could order it. Because when you enter your UPC code information or your ISBN information, one of the really cool things you do is this available for distribution? If you click yes, where? Email, phone number, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that product then becomes available to the bookstore, because they can look and say, oh, I can order a onesie twosie of this product, or, oh, I can order, they come in 6 packs or 12 packs or 24 packs, whatever you want to make. So there's advantages to getting a UPC code and a barcode, or an ISBN code. But again, you got to know what lane you're going to be in. If you're just looking, again, to just sell it on DriveThruRPG, or you're looking for somebody to be like a no-touch, I want to be able to upload it, I don't want to worry about printing it, I don't worry about nothing, then yeah, DriveThruRPG is going to be really cool. And that's going to be something that we're going to be offering too, is we're going to be here after the first part of the year. When you go to our website at wizardtowergames.com, one of the things that you see is you'll see a thing called services, and it'll be publishing is one of the things. And when you click on it, it says coming soon with some basic information. We're going to offer a digital DriveThruRPG style service, and basically it'll be where you can upload your game, and not only can you upload your game, but you can sell PDFs. Now, we are not going to immediately offer print. We're just going to offer basically PDF sales. But I'm going to give you an example. It's 85-15 is going to be our breakdown. You will get 85% of the sale. We get 15% for handling the back end of it and everything. So that's going to be one of the things that we're going to offer. Plus, for people who want to go ahead and when you have a raw manuscript, we're going to be able to help you get like the artwork together. We'll help you get it laid out and such. So, but that's down the line and come mid-late January. We have other things we're worried about right now, product-wise, we want to get out. But going on 50 minutes now, I think I'm going to cut this off now because I don't want to keep these lives going too long. I appreciate everybody who's came in here. Thank you very much for interacting with me. I really would appreciate if people would share our YouTube channel. And if you haven't hit a subscribe button, please hit that subscribe button. We're close to 200 subscribers now. I'd really like to hit 200 before Thanksgiving. And, that helps us grow and helps us do. We're going to be doing some updates this week. We're going to be doing a video where we're going to show you how we do our mass. Basically, it's large format printing where we print our large format sheets like for the Lost Adventures of GaryCon, and we're going to show you how we do it, and we're going to show you what it looks like. And those have to get cut because they get wrapped around cardboard for the hardcover books. And we're going to start doing more behind the scenes stuff for people, so you all can see what it's like in the back end, basically. Good night, RPG Grandma. Thank you very much, by the way, for your support and coming in my live here. But again, thank you very much to everybody. I really appreciate the support. I really appreciate the support that I've had through this whole nauseating Voldemort 3.0 process. And every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, we're going to do a live stream just like this one. The next one will be a little bit smoother. I got to get with Eric Tenkar, and he can kind of walk me through how to better get the live going where it's supposed to be instead of having it out. Hand of Doom, thank you very much later on to you too. But this is Don Wizard Tower Games. Again, thank you so very much. I'm really grateful to everybody for tuning in, interacting with me. Again, if you have any questions, you have any comments, pop them down in the comment section, and or you can email us at info@wizardtowergames.com, and we can be happy to answer your question. Our advice is always free. We're happy to help anybody. So thank you very much, everybody, and have a good Tuesday night.